The Beaverhead Mountains are on the Continental Divide, right along the Idaho-Montana border. The high point is Scott Peak, but there are two other peaks on the summit ridge, Weber Peak and Hughes Horn. Despite the 11,000 feet high, these mountains get little attention. If you're looking for some backcountry adventure and love breathtaking ridge walks, this might be the day hike for you. It was 5,600 vertical feet, 10 hours, and 11 miles. Absolutely the highlight of this is the ridge, though. It's about 1.5 miles long, breathtaking views on the left and on the right, super easy going with very little elevation change. It is just absolutely spectacular. Okay, here we are at the trailhead. This is a little before sunrise, and the drive-in was good, and we're ready to do Scotts Peak. Sun's coming up, a little bit of glow, but I got to turn the headlamp on. That's a good sign. It's just under 1 mile in, and the alpine glows begin to light the hilltops. .2 miles in, we have a little water trough where the stream is diverted. Biggest snow so far, maybe like 1/4 inch, I'd say. You see the trail forks off that way. That bit was pretty steep, and now we're going to turn right, and look, there's no snow there. It's just a little dusting, but the trees captured it. Oh, that's pretty. All right, this is the end of our trail. Now we're going to head up that saddle and navigate up that ridge line to the summit. That meadow looks like you just want to walk and walk and walk. You always prefer not to lose elevation while climbing, but that's just part of the game. I love orienteering. I love looking for the path of least resistance, trying to figure things out based on the terrain. This tree has seen better days. Ooh, that's a big one. It's definitely a grind to get up to this ridge, but the footing is sure and the rocks are not shifting, but we are gaining altitude efficiently. I'm up to a ridge because the view just changes. And oh, bonus! First light of the day. Oh, I can feel the warmth on me. Nice. Oh, that's beautiful. Whoo-hoo. What a great day to be alive. Another bedding down place for the animals. They clearly love this ridge. They have a view of all the predators coming out to get them. Funny story, my drone got a little lost and didn't quite come back to me. And so after doing this little 360, it just kind of hovered 2 feet off the edge of the cliff and wouldn't come. So I had to like get my jacket and kind of hook it back so that I could recover it. Of course, my hiking companions thought it was wildly funny. I thought I'd have to wait for the drone's battery to die and then it would just land on the rocks and I have to climb down and get it. Fortunately, that wasn't the case. We got a cross hill and to scree a little bit here to get over around this horn. Once we went around that cliff face, there's a trail, but still you have to watch your footing. It's dicey. Every time you get to a bit that has big rocks, you definitely take it because it's so much more secure than the loose stuff. There we go.
Yeah, once you got in the cave, it wasn't a problem anymore, but or maybe it was once or twice.
This is called horn coral. Horn coral. Look at all these fossils. Oh my gosh. And the thing is that below it, there's almost none. But right on that line, there's a zillion. Boy, the Limhi Range looks fantastic. And that's Scott Peak looking resplendent. We're almost at the ridge, not quite, but I'm sure loving this view. I love how the sedimentary lines are folded on the mountain. Wind has really picked up. Now we're going to side hill over to Weber Peak. That's going to be our first one we're going to summit today. Not too much of a descent to get over to that peak, but a bit. I love a good ridge walk. Oh my goodness. Oh, there, the view has just got spectacular. Look at that. Woohoo! Yes. Give me some of that. I love a good ridge walk. It's just always filled with surprises. It's so pretty. There we are, Weber Peak. Ooh. And a summit register. That's where we came from. Now we're going to turn a little bit to the east. Way off in the distance you can see the Yellowstone High Country. The Tetons are on the horizon there. You see actually Rexburg, Idaho Falls, Pocatello. Across the valley you see the Buttes. Over here is Saddle Mountain, Diamond Peak, Bell. In a couple hours we'll be on top of Scotts Peak looking north. Right, next we're heading to the Butte County High Point. It's not really a mountain, it's not a prominence, but it's the high point of, well, Butte County.
Of course, I know people guys throw a little bit.
We are at Butte County High Point. Woo! And another spectacular view. And there's Weber. And we're heading over to Scott Peak next. What a contrast, one side to the other.
Wondered about it.
The summit of Scott Peak is not subtle. I think whoever was the first one up here and decided to build this cairn had a long day ahead of them. Look at the size of this thing. I think it's high enough you have to change the elevation profile. That is something else. It is pretty up here. There's many cliffs and the limestone bands are very interesting from on top of Scott Peak. But if you look how flat it is, it's not much of a peak itself. I mean, there's so much room up here, you could build like a whole housing development. Wow, this side of the mountain is spectacular. I mean, look at the snow lines, look at the cliff. That is spectacular. Woo! Dead end. Another cool ridge walk. There's no end of these today. There's one like most. Fourth summit of the day. Big day. Talk about extra credit. Can you imagine the end of October and a day like this high in the mountains? Awesome. This is Hoos Horn, our fourth summit of the day, but only our third mountain, and that's because our second mountain didn't have 300 feet of prominence. This one was the best. I like the ridge, I like the summit, everything about it was fantastic. I especially like the views down into the valley below. It's so cool. All right, that was our last peak for the day. Now we have to head back over to Scott this way, and then we go down basically on the horizon, all the way down to the bottom. What a cool ridge. The descent off the ridge is actually pretty mellow. The bottom, where you have all those little ridges, that's actually the most challenging. We're doing some side hilling to get over to the ridge, trying to cut out having to resummit the peaks, and it's definitely a little more challenging. I think maybe we should have stayed high a little bit longer. Magnificent. Oh, more in the side hilling. It would have been better to gain a little bit more altitude and have an easier walk and do all the side hilling. It's definitely easier going down this scree than going up it, because when your foot slides you just don't mind. But it's the end of a long day. I'd like to be at the car. Ooh, a little bit of scree surfing here. Yay! And then I'm hungry for dinner. Ooh, this goes quick. Yes, that was nice. We're taking the fun way down. Rather than keep at the ridge line, we're just going to beeline it straight down to the drainage. And this looks to be a better way. I didn't want to do that side hill we did earlier on the way up, but we'll see how it goes. So much easier than going up. Woo! Now we're off the rock landscape and in the trees just like that. From punishing things for my feet to this almost carpet-like pine needles. Trail for the first time in, I don't know, 6 hours. Yes. Here we are. Now we're gonna take the trail all the way out, and we'll be in the car in less than an hour.
Enjoyable.
Love the hike out. Is that the last of the sun? We saw the sunrise. We saw the sunset. That's a long day on the trail. But, you know, I guess 5 peaks. What are you gonna, 4 peaks, what are you gonna expect? That was Scott and Weber Peak with a few consolation prizes in between. You know, it was never scary. The scree can be challenging at times, but the views were fantastic. This is something I would think about if you're looking for a little bit of off-trail adventure. But if you're looking for something that is on trail the whole time, or you see other people, this is not the hike for you. The Summit Register of Scott Peak and Weber Peak had 6 entries for 2024. 6 entries in 12 months.